Well, her learning goal was very clear.
Okay.
She wanted to understand what AI is and how it will impact learning in the future.
So that fundamental knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about her practical goal? What did she want to create?
She wanted to create her own chatbot,
Okay.
and she named it Ask Solo.
Ask Solo. I like it.
And the really important thing here is that she wanted this chatbot to only work with information that she gave it.
Okay.
It wasn't about accessing the entire internet or anything like that.
So it was kind of a controlled experiment in a way.
Exactly.
What kind of information was she going to feed into it?
She used her 10th grade work report guide from geography as the initial source material for Ask Solo.
So a specific set of information that she already knew well.
Yeah, and that made it easier for her to test the chatbot's accuracy using something you're already familiar with. So what were the things that she specifically wanted Ask Solo to be able to do?
Right.
And maybe more importantly, what did she not want it to do?
Well, first of all, it had to be able to provide answers based strictly on the document.
Okay.
No making stuff up, no bringing in outside information.
Right.
So if the answer wasn't in her geography report, Ask Solo shouldn't be able to answer.
Makes sense.
And then she also wanted it to be able to recognize and decline questions that were off topic. So if someone asked about something unrelated to the report,
Yeah.
the chatbot should basically say, I don't know.
Okay, so that's about keeping it focused and really avoiding those situations where the AI starts hallucinating, as they say.
Exactly. Minimizing those hallucinations was really important for her.
Right.
And then she also wanted the interface to be very simple and easy to use so that anyone could interact with it without any difficulty.
So it wasn't just about how intelligent it was, but also how user-friendly it was.
Now, I know she was looking at a few different AI models.
Yeah.
Which ones did she end up comparing?
She chose 3: Google LearnLM, Google Gemini, and OpenAI.
Okay.
And her aim was to really see how accurate they were,
Right.
how well they understood the context of her report.
So how was she going to figure out which one was giving the best or the most accurate answers?
She actually used another tool,
Okay.
Notebook LM,
Okay.
which is a Google product, and it's specifically designed to work with documents that you upload.
Okay.
So she essentially used that as a benchmark to check the accuracy of the answers from the other 3.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. So she's got her goals in place. She's got her testing methods sorted out. How does she actually go about testing these different models?
Well, she came up with 4 different categories of questions
Okay.
to really put those chatbots to the test.
Okay, B.
So the first one was simple content questions,
Okay.
just basic facts and information that were directly stated in the report. So things like, what is the main topic of this report, or who is the author?
So just making sure that they can pull out the obvious stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, what was the next category?
The second category was data-driven questions.
Okay.
And these were designed to test whether they could actually analyze information that was presented in tables within the report.
Oh, wow. So not just reading it, but understanding the data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she might ask something like, list all the locations mentioned in the data table, or even a little bit more complex, something like calculate the average value of X based on the provided data.
Okay, so really testing their ability to not just read, but work with the data.
Yeah.
Okay, what about number 3?
The third category was off-topic questions.
Right, to see if they stayed within the boundaries.
Exactly. And these were specifically designed to be outside the scope of her report.
Okay.
To see if they would identify them correctly and just refuse to answer. So, for example, what are the environmental concerns in a completely different city that's not mentioned in her report?
Right. So making sure they're staying within the bounds of what they're supposed to know.
Exactly.
Okay, and the final category?
The fourth category was summarizing questions.
Okay.
And these required the chatbots to actually analyze parts of the report or even the entire report and provide a concise summary based on a specific prompt.
Okay.
So she might ask something like, summarize the key findings of the section on methodology.
So a really comprehensive set of tests there.
Yes.
So what did she find? What were the results like? How did these different models actually perform?
Well, overall, the results were very positive.
Okay.
Especially when it came to those on-topic questions. She found that all 3 models could consistently answer those questions accurately.
Good.
And they all correctly identified the off-topic questions, and they declined to answer them.
Right, that's what she wanted.
Exactly.
So they're doing what they're supposed to do. Were there any that kind of stood out or that showed particular strengths in any areas?
Yeah, absolutely. Google Gemini was really good with those data-driven questions.
Huh.
It was great at presenting information from tables.
Well,
OpenAI was very conversational.
go ahead.
It had this really nice conversational style, but sometimes it struggled a little bit with handling the tables.
Interesting.
Google Learn LM was very good for simple, quick answers. So, it was less detailed maybe, but very efficient.
Right.
So what we see here is that even at the AI level,
Yeah.
there is no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
Different AI models have different strengths.
Yeah.
So depending on the kind of material you're working with,
Yeah.
you might choose a different model.
Makes sense.
If you're working with a lot of data, you might go with Gemini.
Okay.
If you want more of a back and forth,
Yeah.
maybe a different model would be better suited.
Right, right. It's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about the multilingual capabilities?
She tested all 3 models, and all of them were able to successfully provide answers in different languages when prompted.
That's a really useful feature, I think.
Absolutely, for accessibility and just broader application.
Okay, now how did her own chatbot, Ask Solo, compare to that Notebook LM that she was using as the benchmark?
Well, Notebook LM being a Google product
Yeah.
that's specifically designed for this kind of document interaction, it did provide the most detailed responses, especially for summaries and data tables.
Okay.
But she found that Ask Solo did very well in comparison,
Wow.
which was really, a great way to demonstrate that she had built a chatbot
Yeah.
that could reliably work with her document.
That must have been exciting
Yeah.
to see that all that work was paying off.
Absolutely.
So